You are a fucking idiot if you think the current body is still benefiting from previous steroid use. That's like saying once you take pre-workout, you're always on pre-workout. What's up guys, Derek, moreplates.com. Today we are going to be talking about King Leroyce, also known as the humanitarian artist from DT LA, was this downtown LA, veteran, IFBB Pro, also a natural and a cannabis connoisseur. So he is a IFBB Pro classic physique bodybuilder, and he has insane structure. The guy looks awesome in my opinion. And one of the things notably though about why the community is kind of up in arms a little bit about some of his statements recently are the fact that he said, you are a fucking idiot if you think the current body is still benefiting from previous steroid use. That's like saying once you take pre-workout, you're always on pre-workout. So he's comparing stimulant intake that has a clearance time of hours to a compound that can literally increase the amount of nuclei donated into a muscle fiber essentially from satellite cells in order to permanently increase cross-sectional area in a muscle. So, he is basically a guy who turned pro naturally, supposedly, took gear while he was a pro, and then decided he wanted to go natural, and now is trying to compete naturally to show that you can indeed do it naturally. That's all well and good. If you have good enough genetics to compete naturally, if you're indeed natural, like all the power to you, right? But some of the statements he's making are just scientifically, factually incorrect. So I wanted to kind of get into that in particular. So again, no one's trying to knock his physique as far as I know. Like, he looks pretty fucking insane to me. And it's not surprising that this guy, got his pro card in classic physique looking the way he does, in my opinion. But this article in particular is the thing. So obviously his very aggressive statements, he shits on people in the comment section too. He's like, to all those who think I'm still benefiting from steroids after my previous use, you're a fucking idiot and get fucked. Weak-minded AF, hashtag pathetic. And then some of the comment sections are like, yeah, fuck those guys, bro. And then some of the people are, let's see, not too happy about it. This guy says, This guy says, I'm listening. My only issue is a certain amount of the tissue you added on anabolics can be maintained naturally. Negative. Thank you. Someone with some knowledge. You still chasing clout? ? No, just getting rid of blatant lying in this industry. He says, sounds like clout chasing to me. Obviously, it's your world. Obviously. I wasn't in it for anything, mate. I honestly don't care for it at all. To be honest, I wasn't even referring to you in this case. But surely you don't think that all the muscle that you gain via anabolics would just disappear without. Look at the retired pros, most of which aren't running anything but TRT and still look far better than most natties busting their ass. And then there's, some other ones, and people are saying, a lot of people are agreeing with them, but these are presumably his hardcore supporters. And then there's some guys who are kind of pushing back. The retro physique, he was actually in the Enhanced Athlete documentary. He pushes back. He said, this is a terrible metaphor. You're comparing stimulants and natural products to hormones. If anything, this is telling people that steroids are as safe as pre-workout. Then he says, you're really an idiot if that's your takeaway from my tweet. Whatever, bro. So anyways, there's a lot of people in the comment section that are, iffy about it, and some people are agreeing, whatever. At the end of the day, this is the article that people are, most annoyed about. So IFBB Pro classic physique bodybuilder Jamie Leroyce goes natural. Modern bodybuilding offers some of the best physiques the world has ever seen. It has also seen some of the most monstrous physiques of all time. A great deal of that is due to the steroid use inherent to the sport, but not everyone is fond of using gear to compete. One such individual is IFBB Pro classic physique bodybuilder Jamie Leroyce, who has decided to go natural. It's rare to see bodybuilders speak about this sort of thing openly. Many bodybuilders rather focus on the training and posing critical aspects of competing, but few choose to talk about the steroid use in the sport, not Jamie Leroyce. Determined to compete without the use of any chemical help, Leroyce is choosing to go natural. His hopes are to show the bodybuilding world you can still maintain a world-class physique without any additional help. The IFBB Pro has been educating his followers on the subject of steroid use and its effects. If you take steroids, you run a chance of losing aesthetics, and that's the least of your worries. Say no to sauce. Steroid use makes bone density grow. He's posting a study here. So androgenic signaling obviously can, definitely positively influence bone integrity and whatnot. Anabolic steroids are currently used in the treatment of established osteoporosis. And this is not just through their activation of the androgen receptor, but downstream, the compounds that aromatize into estrogen as well, even more so. In a recent post to his social media, Jamie Leroy stated his resolve to compete naturally. It also appears he will be competing at the Houston Tournament of Champions April 3rd. Change is coming to bodybuilding. I am the breath of fresh air this industry desperately needs. Hashtag God-given, hashtag natural, hashtag steroids are lame AF, hashtag IFBB. So I don't know how long he's been natural for or how long he's maintained this physique naturally, but obviously when you first get off, you're going to lose intramuscular water, glycogen, etc. for the first little bit. You're not actually going to lose a shit ton of mass for, a few months, especially given the clearance time of these hormones. Like you've seen how long it can actually take to truly recover when you come off with some of this shit, especially with the long esters, much longer than most people actually estimate. So I don't know how long he's actually been off, but his show is coming up like pretty damn quick here. So he's obviously in prep right now and he looks pretty fucking good. But he's basically trying to say that whatever physique he has that he's going to step on stage with, he's basically implying it's not from steroids at all and it's not helping him. And the thing that's annoying him is people are essentially sort of downplaying his hard work by implying that his previous use is, helping him maintain this physique, which is, an easy, like I can see why people would want to debate the topic, to be honest. And, people have gotten pretty aggressive with him as he has gotten pretty aggressive with others in terms of his comments. So again, this one is the one from 11 hours ago. You're a fucking idiot if you think that basically his use in the past is helping him right now. So in fact, is that the case? In fact, is it that once you go naturally, you have no permanent enhancing effects whatsoever, and it's not, there's no residual effect that can last for even, like for him, I don't know how long he's actually been natural for, but even besides the fact, if you went natural and then like years later you competed, do you still have a competitive advantage because you took some shit in the past? Well, the research implies indeed you do have an advantage. Now there's a lot of new literature coming out of the woodwork over the past few years. But some of the studies that I've referred to in the past that I thought are worth touching on are like some of the original ones on the rodent models obviously kind of set the stage for kind of what we can expect or extrapolate for humans. So this was a cellular memory mechanism aids overload hypertrophy in muscle long after an episodic exposure to anabolic steroids. So in this, previous strength training with or without the use of anabolic steroids facilitates subsequent reacquisition of muscle mass even after long intervening periods of inactivity based on in vivo and ex vivo microscopy. Here, we propose a cellular memory mechanism residing in the muscle cells. Female mice were treated with testosterone propionate for 14 days, inducing a 66% increase in the number of myonuclei and a 77% increase in fiber cross-sectional area. 3 weeks after removing the drug, fiber size was decreased to the same level as in these sham-treated animals, but the number of nuclei remained elevated for at least 3 months, which is greater than 10% of the mouse lifespan. So obviously extrapolate for that for humans, we're looking at quite a few years here. At this time, when the nuclei-rich muscles were exposed to overload exercise for 6 days, the fiber cross-sectional area increased by 31% while control muscles did not grow significantly. We suggest that the lasting elevated number of myonuclei constitutes a cellular memory facilitating subsequent muscle load hypertrophy. Our findings might have consequences for the exclusion time of doping offenders. Since the ability to generate new myonuclei is impaired in the elderly, our data also invite speculation that it might be beneficial to perform strength training when young in order to benefit in senescence. So this kind of ties back to the whole Natty verified thing, a couple of years ago, where I talked about how when you're in your youth and you have the highest ability to pack on new muscle and you can expose yourself to the most amount of, anabolics potentially, this is where you can kind of bank up myonuclei to then draw off of later in life that you otherwise wouldn't have been able to bank up as you get older and or, as a natural. Obviously, you're not going to have the same ability to build that up. So obviously when the androgens bind to the androgen receptor, it's not like they just go into the nucleus and cause gene expression where you get increased muscle protein synthesis. In addition to that, they also recruit satellite stem cells in order to donate nuclei to the muscle, which then increases the actual amount of myonuclei that you can actually have muscle protein synthesis and induce, more cross-sectional area increases, which consequently lead to in what we can speculate seems to be a permanent advantage long term, because you would not have that density of myonuclei in the muscle otherwise. It recruits a significant amount of assistance that is not limited just to the confined muscle protein synthesis of whatever amount of myonuclei was residing there prior to the anabolic exposure. This is another summary I thought was worth touching on. This research was conducted by Anders Eriksson and Lars Erik Thornell from Department of Integrative Medical Biology section. Conducted the study for Anatomy, Umeå University, Umeå, Sweden, etc., etc., etc. So anyways, this is kind of a summary of anabolic steroids provide a competitive edge in powerlifting years after doping has ended. Steroid use, and you can see this has been around for a while, dude. It's not like we didn't know this already. Steroid use has been suspected in sports where building muscle strength rather than endurance is paramount. Powerlifting is such a sport. Researchers have examined the impact of anabolic steroid use in powerlifters years after the athletes ceased taking the drugs. They have found that while physical traces of the drug no longer remained, changes in the shoulder and quadriceps still gave lifters an edge. So I'm sure you guys know what, anabolic steroids are. I'm not going to describe why they help. It's kind of obvious. We know they help by now. So basically in this, they want to figure out how long lasting, is there actual permanent changes to the muscle fiber. Powerlifters focus on body strength, which relies heavily on muscle. Body's main muscle fiber types, type 1, type 2A, and type 2B. Type 1 is the weakest and slowest, but has the most endurance. Type 2A, the strongest and fastest, but has the least endurance. Human muscles occur along a continuum of fiber types. For powerlifters, type 2B fiber, the most powerful, is most frequently used. The use of anabolics can add more nuclei to the muscle and enhance muscle fiber size. Researchers examined data in two muscles, the vastus lateralis found in the quadriceps and the trapezius, a part of the shoulder neck muscle. Each muscle is key to powerlifting. 3 groups were examined. One group was comprised of 7 powerlifters who had previously used anabolics for long periods of time but stopped their usage some years ago. One group was currently powerlifting but did not use steroids. The third group was powerlifting and taking steroids. The researchers examined muscle fiber distribution, fiber area, subsarcolemmal and internal myonuclei number per fiber, myonuclei expressing androgen receptors, satellite cell numbers per fiber, and proportion of split fibers in each muscle for each individual. So pretty fucking comprehensive. Findings. The researchers found that several years after anabolic withdrawal and with no or low current strength training, the muscle fiber area intensity, the number of nuclei per fiber in the quadriceps, was still comparable to that of athletes that were currently performing high intensity strength training. They also discovered that the shoulder neck fiber areas were comparable to high intensity trained athletes, and the number of nuclei per fiber was even higher than found in the current steroid using group. Conclusions. According to the lead researcher, Dr. Eriksson, it is possible that the high number of nuclei we found in the muscle might be beneficial for an athlete who continues or resumes strength training, because increased myonuclei opens up the possibility of increasing protein synthesis, which can lead to muscle mass. He added, based on the characteristics between doped and non-doped powerlifters, we conclude that a period of anabolic steroid usage is an advantage for a powerlifter in competition, even several years after they stop taking a doping drug. So to me, it seems pretty clear as day that once you have taken shit, you can no longer claim natural. Like, obviously this is just a bio, so it's not like it fucking matters. And at the end of the day, this guy is competing in a tested show, or a non-tested show as far as I know. Like, he's an IFBB Pro competing against guys who are saucing their faces off. And it's not like he's trying to compete in a naturally tested federation as far as I know. I could be wrong on that. And if he is, obviously that's kind of fucked up. But if he's competing in the IFBB against guys who are, allowed to take gear and he's just doing it naturally, like, by all means. But to say that he is now natural and has no advantage from it whatsoever is just incorrect in my opinion. So anyways, let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Like, subscribe, check out my blog, moreplates.com, follow me on Instagram at moreplates_more_dates, or text at moreplates_more_dates. I'm so like, it's so templated in my brain at this point to say at moreplates_more_dates. I keep forgetting to say it's now without the underscore, which is cool. So anyways, at moreplates_more_dates. Facebook, Snapchat, BitChute, Twitter, TikTok, Apple Podcasts. If you want to support the channel, you can check out anything I'm associated with in the video description below. My TRT clinic, it's all telemedicine from the comfort of your own home. Gorilla Mind, nootropic formulas, Gorilla Mode, pre-workout formulas, design myself from scratch, my recommended lab tests and diagnostics, and anything else I'm associated with. It's all in the video description below. Thank you guys for watching. Talk to you soon.